Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you for joining me on the Accelerate and Multiply live stream, where we're on a mission to show you how to catapult your influence, to accelerate your impact, and also to unlock new income levels. Now, today is Wednesday, the 11th of August, 2021. Now, if you're joining me live here on the live stream, I want you to head to the chat box and type in live. If you're watching me here on the replay, go to the box below and type in replay. Now, the reason why I'm delivering this training today is because on Monday this week, I delivered a training here in the group on influence and persuasion and showing you how to be more influential online. And one of the strategies that I was teaching was called the Clinton box. And people have been messaging in the group this week, sharing their feedback, telling me it was a beautiful strategy. And I've also received a lot of private messages to tell me that people are already seeing results. So today on this live stream, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a deeper dive into the Clinton box so you can understand how to utilize this strategy, not just in your personal life, but also in your professional life. Now, before we begin, let me ask you a question. What is one word that best describes your day so far? What is one word that best describes your day so far? And type it into the chat box below. The one word that I'd like to share for my day is explosive. This group is exploding. The results of my clients this week are exploding. One of my clients in our 100x DNA Accelerator program revealed this week that he closed his first 1 million ringgit deal. So his business is exploding. And that's the word I'd like to share with you today. So thank you for joining. Sarah Blake, wonderful to see you here. And I know that this strategy will work well in your industry, especially when you have to facilitate, when you have to find agreements between 1, 2, or 3 parties. This strategy will really help you today. So what you're going to learn today is what we call the Clinton box. And I'm going to demonstrate to you in a moment what the Clinton box is. And there's 3 reasons. There's 3 reasons why we use the Clinton box in communication. The first one is it removes the confusion out of communication. People can't make a decision if they have a fuzzy understanding of the communication. So the first reason we learn this is because it removes that confusion out of the communication. Jenny, thank you for joining me today, and hello to you too. The second reason why we use this is it eliminates miscommunication. We're going to talk later on that fully 55% of your communication comes down to your physiology, your body languages, your gestures, the way that you use your facial expressions, the way that you use your hands. And then the third reason why we learn the Clinton box is so you can catapult your influence. You're getting great results in your life right now. However, you could be doing so much better if you just had another strategy and another tool to use to capture people's attention. So thank you for joining me today. If you're joining me live, type in live into the chat box. If you're joining me on the replay, type replay into the chat box. Now, the Clinton box. The Clinton box is a communication tool. And today we're going to talk about the Clinton box. The reason why we're using the Clinton box is it's because it helps us with our non-verbal communication. The Clinton box, as you can see here, is used for better non-verbal communication. And you can start to use this Clinton box when you're doing face-to-face meetings or when you're presenting on stage or online. Now, you can see this box here on the screen. And it came about because President Clinton was a poor communicator. He was well known, but it didn't make him a good communicator. In the studies of Bill Clinton, they discovered that he was using very large, expensive expansive hand gestures. And the bigger these gestures were, the more expansive these gestures were, the lower his perceived credibility. His followers stopped trusting him. The community, the population, they lowered their levels of trust with Bill Clinton. And it all came down to his non-verbal communication. So the communications experts said, Bill Clinton, what you've got to do is you've got to stop using these big hand gestures in your communication. It's confusing people. It's doing damage to your credibility. People aren't communicating. They don't understand the communication. What we want you to do is we want you to start to minimize the use of your hands when you communicate. What we're going to do is we're going to restrict your movement to this small area here. And the area that they asked him to communicate within was from the shoulders down to the torso and across to the belly button. And they said, what we want you to do, the majority of the time, 80% of the time, is we want you to keep your hands inside of this imaginary box. When you use nonverbal clues, when you use nonverbal communication, we want you to stick inside of this box. So I'm going to teach you how to use this today. Jenny, Daniel's box is better. Maybe one day they'll call it the Tolson box. There's my wife. Hello, wife. How are you? I'm going to use the Clinton box tonight when we go for dinner. So let's continue. Now, when you're using the Clinton box, the setup is the most important part. And you want to set yourself up for success. So if you're watching me live, I want you to follow my instructions. If you're watching me on the replay, do it as we go through. Because if you start to set yourself up for success, you'll find that you can have immediate results. So the first thing that you've got to do is you've got to set yourself up in the middle of your camera. And so when you're having a look at me on your screen right now, you'll see the top of the frame is at the top of my head. So make sure that when you're sitting in front of your computer, when you're sitting in front of your camera, that you fill the frame. So your head needs to go to the top of the frame. And then you need to be sitting far enough back from the camera that you can see your belly button. So my belly button is right there. And what the setup here enables you to do, it enables you to set yourself up to use the Clinton box very effectively. If I'm sitting too close to my screen, if I'm sitting too close like this, people can't see my hand gestures, and that's ineffective. The purpose of sitting back at a distance here is to give myself enough space to be able to utilize the Clinton box. Now, let me ask you a question. Is this making sense to you so far? And if it is, type in yes into the chat box below. Go to your chat box, type in yes. So the first thing, the setup is the most important. And what you do is you set yourself up right in the middle of your screen. The frame should be at the top of your head and then at the bottom of your belly button or at the top of the belly button. And this gives you enough room to effectively use your hands inside the Clinton box. Okay, we're getting a yes from Sarah and we're getting a yes from Jenny. Beautiful. And make sure you're far enough back from the camera so that your audience or the person who's watching you can see you clearly and also see your hand gestures. So that's the first part. The second thing that you need to know is that fully 55% of your communication is attributed to your body language. Now, they did some research at the University of California, Los Angeles, and they discovered that communication could be broken down into three parts. First was your physiology. Second was your tone of voice. And the third part of communication was the words that you use. And they also discovered that the biggest communicator are the nonverbal cues. 55% of your communication comes down to your gestures, your facial expressions, the way that you use your body. So think about this. Your physiology, your tone of voice is 93% of your communication. And only 7% of your communication comes down to the words that you use. And so being that your physiology, your gestures, your arms, the tilt of your head is the biggest form of communication, we have to make sure we get it right. Now, as they studied Bill Clinton's audience, they noticed that the bigger his hand gestures were, the more expansive his hand gestures were, the more that it caused his audience to question his credibility, the more that it caused them to question what he was saying. He became less believable and he became less trustable. And this is where this study came about. So what they said to Bill Clinton was they said, you've got to move your hands differently. 55% of your communication is your body language. And what we want you to do to gain credibility, we want you to keep your hands inside this imaginary box from your shoulders down to your waist. And so this is what we now call the Clinton box. And 80% of the time, what you want to do is you want to make sure that your hand gestures are within this imaginary box right here. Marina, good afternoon. Thank you for joining. And we have a Facebook user here. I don't know who that is yet, but make sure you go to the top of this post. And at the top of this post, you'll be able to click a blue link and it'll say, let StreamYard share your screen name. So please go and do that one and I can see who's joining me. So 80% of the time, you want to make sure that your hand gestures are within this box. And then the other 20% of the time, of course, you can move them outside of the box. But 80% of the time, for the best communication, keep them inside of the box right here. So the next question that people asked me this week, they said, Daniel, where can we use this? Where can we use the Clinton box? And I said, well, the first thing you can do is you can tell your wife to calm down. Ladies, you can tell your husband to calm down. And when you use those nonverbal cues, the physiology, the body language, you can say, calm down. You can also teach, and you say this to your teammates, you can say, ladies and gentlemen, please calm down. Or you could say to your audience, ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for our next guest speaker. Rather than having a big expansive gesture, so as soon as you're online and you do big expansive gestures, people can't see your hands. So what you do is you keep them close and you say, please stand up. Is this making sense so far? I want you to go to the chat box now and I want you to type in a message. Go to the chat box and tell me, what are you learning so far? What are you learning? What stood out to you so far? Sandy, good afternoon to you too. So you can use it with your wife, you can use it with your husband, you can tell your children to calm down. Also, if you're communicating with your children and you're using the Clinton box, you can tell the kids, get out of the kitchen, get out of our bedroom, go back to your own bed. And this is very influential. Remember, 55% of your communication is in your physiology. And when you get it right, you become a powerful communicator and you have a greater influence on your audience. If you're communicating to your clients, you can give them strict instructions. And Sarah, I know this is very important in your field, especially when it comes to mediation. You can tell the clients, you can say, stay within the guidelines. Don't go outside of the guidelines. Stay within the guidelines so you don't screw up. In addition, if you're communicating to people on Facebook Live, you can say, go to the comments section below and leave a message. Now tell me, does this communication work? What I want you to do is I want you to go down to the comment box below and I want you to say hello. So if you're using Facebook Live, if you're doing live videos, you can also incorporate it into that. In addition, you might have some special hand signals that you give to your clients. Maybe you're in Hawaii and you want to tell them to hang loose. Keep those hand signals within the Clinton box. So thanks for joining us. Jaya Kumar, hey, my friend, good to see you there. Jenny, persuasive gesturing, 100%. And so you've just got to get creative now. The interesting thing about communication and using this Clinton box is it produces immediate results. You get immediate feedback. You tell the kids, get out of the kitchen, and all of a sudden they go running out. You call your husband into the bedroom, and hopefully you get an immediate result. So let me summarize today's training. Firstly, 55% of your communication is your body language. It's your gestures. It's your movements. That's the first thing. The second thing is you want to keep your non-verbal expressions within this box. And there's 3 reasons why. You become more believable, you become more likable, and you also become more persuasive. Now, how do you use this? You can use this tool with your family, you can use it with your friends, you can use it with your colleagues, you can use it in your personal life, and you can also use it in your professional life. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with me today. It's nice to be surrounded by a community of like-minded people, other people who want to catapult their influence, people who want to accelerate their impact. And of course, good people like you, they love to unleash new income levels. So if you enjoyed today's training, ladies and gentlemen, leave a comment below. If you feel that these ideas could help one of your family members or one of your friends, I encourage you to invite them into this community. And the more people we have in this community, the more we can share these ideas and we can make our communities a better place. So share the link with your friends, invite them in here, and I want to give them new ideas that can change their life. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today. Jay Akuma, thank you for joining me. Jenny, thank you for joining me. Sandy, thank you for joining with me. Marina, thank you for joining me. Sarah, wonderful to see you here today, and I look forward to one of our future catch-ups. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time, and have a wonderful day.